Chancellor, Vice Chancellor, Deans, good morning. First of all, I'd like to thank the member of the Technical Working Group of the Alternative Energy. Maraming salamat sa ating ginawa. And hopefully, we'll be able to refine this workshop. Well, the UPLB Alternative Energy RDE has a long history of collaborative research, especially with the College of Agriculture, with SEM, of course, we did some work, Biotech, IDB, and IBS, and other colleges. So it's not due to have collaborative work with other colleges. In fact, that was one of the terms of reference given to me to work on interdisciplinary level, convening people and come up with programs and projects. However, the group would like to propose the establishment of the UPLB Interdisciplinary Biofuels Research Study Center as a strategy to make sure that the establishment of the center will be in UPLB. And for the fact that biofuels is the niche of UPLB, where no constituent unit in the system would claim that even other colleges or universities outside the system. So we're very strong in this area that we could more or less justify the establishment of such center in UPLB. And of course, as a matter of strategy, we will strengthen the other renewable energies like solar, wind, and hydro. And when time comes that we can already put it into work and part of a center, we will revise, we will upgrade the biofuel center into a renewable energy center or alternative energy center. So we'll try to expand, of course, the renewable or alternative energy work, research and development, including curricular development. In fact, we have a committee on the institution of MSc in alternative energy. So we would like to provide focus and emphasis in claiming what UPLB is niche and forte. So that's why this proposal on UPLB Interdisciplinary Biofuel Research Study Center. We have a long history on the UPLB involvement on biofuel research and extension. When the Biofuels Act was enacted in 2007, it was called Biofuels Act of 2006, the Department of Agriculture requested technical assistance to UPLB, and through the initiative of Vice Chancellor Ranyola, we were told, we presented the program in the Mancom of the Department of Agriculture in February 12, 2007, and that was the start of this long and extensive engagement between UPLB and the Department of Agriculture as one of the agencies providing R&D funds. So through the UPLB Alternative Energy RDE, which was established July 2006, a year before, we were able to provide technical assistance and develop the National Feedstock Development Program of the Department of Agriculture as a roadmap. And in fact, we're getting the funds from DA because the programs inserted in this national program came from UPLB. Also, in the initial establishment of the National Biofuels Board, the Undersecretary and Executive Director also requested the technical assistance of UPLB, and we're able to provide them. And we have a lot of things that activities, especially in R&D and extension, that we could say that we were first or pioneering in these areas. We were able to develop several biofuel feedstock development programs in RD, especially on Jatropha. That was about 5 years ago. Unfortunately or fortunately, it was stopped. But now, a little bit, the government is looking at it if it is still feasible. Private companies are more ahead on the initiative of still developing, reviving the Jatropha. But of course, on our stand, we have to prove that it's still, or it is feasible. Unfortunately, our R&D of Jetropa was cut off on the third year. We were not able to prove its economic viability on its fifth or sixth year, proving that it could be viable alternative feedstock for biodiesel. We pioneered research work on algal, the macroalgae for bioethanol production, and microalgae for biodiesel production. We're given funds and developed our production system, one of the biggest, if not the biggest algal pond in the country for algal production for biofuels. And of course, we were credited as the institution who commercialized an alternative feedstock, sweet sorghum to ethanol production with industry, the first in Southeast Asia, funded by DEBAR, administered by UPLDF. We were commissioned by the government through the Department of Agriculture to handle bilateral biofuels program funded by the Korean government. And we held biofuel summit and business matching through the BA funding for biofuels in Negros and in Pampanga. So these are some of our track records that shows we are very strong on biofuels, but we wanted to have it here in UPLD. We got most of the funding from the different agencies in the government for biofuels research and development, including private companies here and abroad. Now there's more reason to establish the center. This is the biodiesel supply-demand outlook produced by the National Biofuels Board of the Department of Energy. And the increase of blending mandate, right now we have 2% blending. The blending will be increased by 5% dapat this year, but kinapos. So next year there will be 5% increase in blending. And by 2020, there will be another increase of 10%, and 2021, 20%. By this time, between this 2020 and 2025, there will be not enough coconut oil for biodiesel conversion alone. That's why the National Biofuels Board is looking at alternative. That's why they're looking back at the Jetropa. But of course, with the declaration of the President of cutting off the funds for Jetropa, they're looking for other alternative feedstock, and that is palm. So again, the government gave us 5 million to do the technical assessment, the environmental assessment of greenhouse gas emission, and the feasibility study for palm, and trying to see if palm could be a viable alternative feedstock to complement our coconut oil for biodiesel blending in the country. So there are more reasons for the center to exist and to provide national leadership in the R&D aspect, including policy, of course. On the ethanol side, this year requires about 381 million liters, but we're only producing 123 million liters with the inclusion of a new ethanol distillery in Isabela. It's quite far from the captured demand. This is a captured market. In fact, it is a protected market because we cannot import ethanol as a policy. Kaya lang problema, kulang ang domestic production. So, after consuming all the local production, the petroleum industry is allowed to import. So it's a captured and protected market. There's a lot of potential in here. And again, they're looking at alternative feedstock that could provide more competitive, viable, and sustainable, environmentally sustainable production. Now, this is the vision crafted by the technical working group to be a duly recognized as a national center for interdisciplinary biofuels research, focusing on development of sustainable feedstock production and utilization, generation of advanced processing technologies, hastening alternative feedstock commercialization, and spearhead policy formulation and improvement that will secure government's trust on energy and security and environmental quality in the country. We also crafted our mission, 3, to be the national leader in biofuels research in response to government's effort to strengthen the emerging biofuel industry in the country, serve as a repository of data and information on biofuel research, development and policy formulation and recommendation studies in the country, and be at the forefront of biofuels technology development through innovation, capacity building, commercialization, and extension. And we have crafted also our 4 objectives that would match the structure of the proposed biofuel research center. And these are to explore and develop feedstocks and industrially relevant technologies for the biofuels production, utilizing the different fields of expertise in the university to reflect the interdisciplinary nature of the center, to improve and or optimize design of processes and equipment used in biofuels production from the different sources through university-wide interdisciplinary approach, and to provide technical and advisory services from experts of different fields within the university to government agencies and private companies. And lastly, to generate awareness through information dissemination through IEC materials with sufficient knowledge regarding biofuels. This is the proposed framework, although may meron pang additional na i-present mamaya. Initially, we thought of the center having 4 divisions. One that would cater for the feedstock development, the other one for the processing and utilization. Third is on the policy, the socio-economic policy, and the fourth one is the information, education, campaign. This has a porous boundaries for interdisciplinary work, and these are the different units in the university that would be helping us in the attainment of its objectives and programs. And here comes the biofuels players. There are 6 of them from the government side, private, the industry, of course, the farmers group, community, providing us issues, concerns, and gaps for the requirements, and of course, funds and grants. And the UPLB will provide for the technology, training, information, policy, and recommendation. And this is the proposed framework. Gusto nila here and then ikot. It's a showcase down. The same na component except that umikot siya to further magnify the interdisciplinary nature. Aside from having a porous boundary between the 4 divisions, the college will interact. So, yun ang gusto nito nila. Now, for the 1 million budget, we thought of a small office to provide us a center of communication where our research associates and information are directed towards this office. And I requested our chairman to provide us a space, for a small space. And we asked for the estimate, and for the renovation of the area would cost us about 136,000 pesos to house our RA, also for our materials and other requirements. We envisioned that the center's work would be more on linking UPLB to government and private organizations, discussions, meetings, etc. that would require funds for promote and communication. The Biofuel Conference, International Biofuel Conference, is allotted $500,000, but this would be a seed money. In fact, we have already met for twice with the Department of Agriculture in coming up with the second International Biofuels Conference next year. We helped them, assisted them during the international conference last year. And hopefully, if this would be utilized as a seed money, we'll be able to meet one of our terms of reference in this center. Then we have the IEC budget of 90,000, including a biofuels showroom. At any time, meron tayong mga bisita, meron tayong tarpaulin, products na papakita, and production systems na papakita. Then we were informed that we should have a local initiative. And this initiative, production would focus on the waste cooking oil that would be converted into biodiesel that could be used sa ating mga agricultural machinery sa university. Alam niyo, yung 1,000 liter of water, isang drop lang ng cooking oil ay hindi napapasa sa DNR standard. So instead of tapo natin yung used cooking oil natin, i-drop nyo na lang sa kemeng and we'll convert that to biodiesel. And this would be utilized by our offices. Of course, nandito naman sa atin yung AMTEC. We'll do some work on the optimum blending. And I think that would be hitting two birds, the environmental protection and the energy recovery out of the waste material, out of the resource material. And equipment outlay, we need of course table this office and chairs and cabinet. We understand that this is a seed money. In fact, when the UPLB Alternative Energy RDE committee was formed in 2006, we're given 50,000 pesos. We're not able to consume the 50,000 because fortunately we're able to get funds from our projects. May na-approve ng projects. So, if we have some timelines here, I believe that I suggest that we would source the funds of 1 million kung saan medyo mabilis ang disbursement, purchase, and well, that's the criteria. If we have some timelines, mamatch natin we know the accounting procedure, purchase policies sa university. And if you want action, dapat sabayanin natin medyo mabilis-bilisan. Now for the 5-year program of action, we have to match our objectives. Each objective, meron siyang programs divided into feedstock development, processing, policy, and ITC. So I'll focus first for the first objective. Mayroon tayong programs on breeding and cultural management, improvement of alternative biofuel feedstock. Now, the trend in global trend is to do away with feed and food material as a first generation feedstock. So, ang trend ngayon is on the second generation and third generation. The second generation, ito yung agricultural waste, forest residues. And the third, are more sustainable. And ito yung mga algae. Brown algae, we focus, we pioneered work on brown algae because wala siyang commercial, wala siyang food value ngayon. And globally, in fact, I 2 weeks ago attended a conference in Washington, D.C. U.S. Department of Agriculture and Department of Energy put so much money on algal. In fact, nakatest na sila using their aircraft carriers, using algal biofuels. So, in the quest of looking for non-food and more sustainable third generation, babalikan natin ko ito. No? Maybe sa ngayon, nandiyan pa si Pinoy, we can touch the tropa. But private companies are connecting with us. In fact, we submitted one proposal through the work ng IPB on Jetropa using our shortlisted 25 accessions produced before. Of course, we have to do some legal work here with BNOC, which funded our work before. Then, the technical, economic, environmental evaluation of existing and developed biofuels feedstock. Now, UPLB handles have 3 projects on life cycle analysis. Siguro the complement ko kanina. Basically, the alternative feedstock of Jetropa, we're doing the LCA on greenhouse gas emission reduction potential, on energetics. We do also life cycle analysis for sweet sorghum and covering the greenhouse gas emission and energetics. Ngayon, nabibigay lang sa atin ng LCA project for palm and another one project on macroalgae. So far, with the work in CESA, I think there are about 10 work on life cycle analysis. We have a very strong track record in this area, and probably something could be developed out of this work, concentrating in or coming up with something that we could move as a university through interdisciplinary collaborations. Then we have the technology transfer and commercialization. Globally, there are a lot of biofuels company lost their business in the US, the Europe, and dami-dami. And lately, I was talking with PNOC AFC about the project, and the new mandate of PNOC Mother Corporation is for the PNOC Alternative Corporation to come into alternative feedstock commercialization or near commercialization. They will not be given money for R&D, basic, yung more developmental. Papasok sila sa malapit na maging commercialized, viable, competitive na feedstock. That's why they wanted us to have more with them. They wanted to join our sweet sorghum because we're able to commercialize this already in Negros. We'll be having another commercial R&D with Green Future in Isabela. They wanted to come in because medyo mature na, medyo luto na. So in short, these companies would be banking on us to develop the basic up to almost pre-commercial levels of R&D on alternative feedstocks. And that's the time they will come in. So this is now the latest development. Then on the processing side, we of course we would like to develop novel biofuels processing technologies. We developed the processing technology of PNOC. In fact, the primary processing, the Institute of Agricultural Engineering developed the expeller, the best in all my conferences of Tropa, Indonesia, India, or US. They're getting only 85% oil recovery, but we're getting at least 88, and they are very conservative, 88 to 90% oil recovery. That's the developed way and the antenna. And we also developed the oil conversion to biodiesel technology. We were able to, out of the funds, we were able to shorten the production costs or production time down to more than 50%. So, malaki ang potential natin on the alternative fuels if we push through and try to consolidate, come up with the center to search more on alternative fuels. Of course, we wanted to collaboration between public and private institutions for technology transfer and commercialization, which BARF provided us funds last year, and we hopefully will be providing us towards the end of the year. And the development of mechanization technology for the feedstock development. Ito palaging kulang ito. During the start of the Tropa, there was a worldwide quest for the mechanization aspect. And if we develop 2 alternative feedstock for biodiesel and another 2 for bioethanol, we have to be prepared for the mechanization aspect. That's why we put this in the program. And next, development of community-based utilization of biofuels, exploring indigenous and new feedstocks, and testing for higher blending. The trend is to increase the blend so that we'll be increasing the environmental benefits for the use of biofuels. So we have to be prepared for this. And fortunately, we have the UpTech as a testing center for agricultural machineries as our partner. So we have the budget at the last column. For the technical advisory from experts, different fields within the university. Right after I was informed of the creation, proposed establishment of the Alternative Energy Study Center, I right away connected with the Department of Agriculture, Philippine Agriculture Development Commercialization Corporation. And natuwa, in fact, they offered us to be their advisor and providing us a retainer's money for us to provide them the updates of on biofuels so that we'll be able to catch up worldwide. And when I approached the PNOCFC, mas maganda pa ang nangyari because right now, ang PNOCFC walang project, wala ng tropa nila, they wanted to come in sa sweet sorghum. And again, the same proposal, why not Rex gawin kayo namin advisory? We will pay you. And if we have additional projects, we pay you again. For us to be able to come up with a good, viable projects. And the same is true with the DA bar. Kasi interest ng bar are the current R&D. Latest globally, and they wanted us to provide them this information. Now, PATSI would like help us in the infrastructure. Pag ganyan pa direct meron tayong center, hanapan natin ng pera for the infra. While the bar would provide us, hopefully, the money for travel to search for new technologies and advanced technologies worldwide. So these are some of the initial talks. We have 2 meetings, and so far, so good, and very encouraging and inspiring development. So the IEC will have about 4 projects. The total project cost of about $500 million. This may be quite big, but it inspired faculty and researcher of UPLB. Hindi naman siguro mahirap ito. So far, we probably we got almost 200 million biofuels fund. Ang university. The last time I had about 150 million. Whether it was facilitated by UPLB Alternative Energy, RTE, or not, the total accumulated through OPCR and UPLB Foundation is more, I'm sure, it's more than 150 million for biofuels research so far. So this is our organizational structure. Basically, we have 4 divisions that would cater specifically focus on its mandate. And we have here the units. Pasensya na kung wala din ng iba. If you want to participate, we're very willing. The more the merrier. And thank you so much.